Hello everyone and welcome to the June 2013 edition of Archfiend's Answers to Archfiend's Choice. Anyway, watch the video I uploaded on Saturday or else you won't understand this video as much. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the questions I asked you guys, go into the answers that I would pick for myself. Again, I stress in every single time I do one of these answer videos, there is no right or wrong answer. It's personally what you believe in that you would choose in that situation. It's all just hypothetical anyway, so there is no right or wrong answer here. But what I like to do is I like to discuss some of the answers that you guys gave, and I'm just going to take a second here to say this was the best round of Archfiend's Choice that I'd ever taken part of with you guys. The answers you gave, the rationale you were using, it was just so interesting to see the comments that you guys were leaving on there. So I want to address some of the questions and concerns that you guys had in certain circumstances and scenarios. Anyways, all this other stuff, you guys left a ton of good feedback, so thank you for that. So let's get into what I chose, because if I'm going to ask these questions, I got to at least have the, quote-unquote balls to answer them myself here. So the first question was, if you're given a choice between piloting that plane that was going to crash into the crowd, kill innocent lives of men, women, and children, or you could stay in the plane and at the last second veer it off the path of where everyone's at and kill yourself in the plane and become a quote-unquote hero in death. Now, I noticed that this was kind of a 50-50 type answer, which is what these questions should be. These questions should cause you to think and not absolutely say, oh, I would definitely go with that. But if you did say, oh, I definitely go with one of the other, there's nothing wrong with that either. Now, a lot of people tended to lean on the whole, I would veer the plane out of the way because I would, want to be seen as a hero, which you would be seen as a hero if you saved the lives of, innocent people to take your own. Yes, that would be seen as very heroic. And the one line of logic that you've seen me attack, not attack per se, is some people still use this line of logic of, well, I would have to kill myself because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. And every single time someone uses that logic, I have to point out that there are a number of circumstances where that logic would not apply. And I asked one of the people that left the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. I said, what if you were in a circumstance where you were given the option of you either kill your son or daughter while they're still like a toddler or whatever, or you kill a room full of elderly people. Now there's many more people that are elderly versus your one son or daughter. So what are you going to tell me? In the heat of the moment, would you just kill a group of unknown elderly strangers, or would you kill your own son or daughter? I can tell you, me personally, it's not even a thought. The room of elderly people are dying versus me killing my own son or daughter. So that whole situation of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, that is not an exact set in stone circumstance, and people that keep using that need to realize that. But again, I don't know, maybe people would kill their own son or daughter over a room of elderly strangers, which again, nothing wrong with it if you would. But what I'm showing is that it's not exactly as clear-cut as people want to make it when it comes to killing one being over killing many beings. It's a lot more tougher of a decision, or easier of a decision depending on your perspective. So, would you die a hero? Yes, you would die a hero if you steered that plane out of the way. And I look at this more from a perspective of, it's one thing to say that you would be willing to steer that plane out of the way from the outside looking in, but when you're faced with imminent death and knowing what you do is going to lead to your death, I think the ability to think rationally might tend to waver. which is why I think a lot of people that would say, oh, I would obviously steer the plane out of the way because, you know, I wouldn't be able to live on my conscience knowing that I ejected from the plane and innocent lives were killed. I could tell you right now, if I wasn't personally responsible for what the plane malfunction was that led to its, you know, crashing to the earth, I really wouldn't have much guilt about having to eject, because I would simply become an irrational person faced with death that I just made a last second decision to leave and save my own life. And I honestly think a lot of people, when faced with death, you would want to live. You would just flat out want to live. And I don't know, did anyone out there that said that they would crash the plane and die think about, like, you know, how they would be thinking in the moment? Or did they just think of this situation, well, peripherally from the outside looking in, yes, I would want to be a hero. Of course we would all want to be a hero, but would we actually take that step to become the hero, knowing that you're about to die? So, and again, if anyone changes their mind with their answers or anything based on what I said or what I talked about, you guys saying, feel free to share that as well in the comments. So yeah, if you can't tell, I would eject from the plane. It's tough, it's shitty, and it would be on my conscience, but again, it's strangers in the crowd that I don't know, and I wasn't responsible for the plane crashing. I mean, you could say, well, you're responsible because you didn't steer it out of the way. Well, I was responsible for saving my own life, and I chose that over taking that plane out of the way from the crowd. And again, if I'm not responsible for what malfunction went wrong with the plane, then that would ease so much of my guilt that I would have. Like, it'd be one thing if I was, like, you know, racing the plane and the engines blew out, and then I was like, oh shit, that's what I get for dicking around. Now it's going to crash into those people. Anyway, that's just my rationale for that. So I would choose to eject from the plane. I know, it's selfish kind of answer, but again, in the heat of the moment, faced with death, that's what I think I would choose. All right, second question. Now, this was one that a lot of people leaned heavily towards option B in this answer. This was probably the most, only time where I've seen 80+% of people lean to one answer more than the other. This was where I gave you the option of, you could have $100 million right now, tax-free, do with it whatever you want. And the one caveat being is you would die at the age of 50 versus have $1 million right now and live on to just, you know, whatever age you're going to die at naturally. Now, in both circumstances, I said you could die of natural causes. If you choose that option 1 or option A, doesn't mean you're invincible till the age of 50 or anything like that. So the chance of dying tomorrow exists in both scenarios. Now, I want to devil's advocate this because both answers I could see as being very good answers. Now, the people that wanted to take the option A were very few, and I was kind of surprised that more people didn't take this, because a lot of people said, well, they were going to choose option B, take the $1 million, and just live on to whatever age they're going to live on to with the $1 million, because, you know, they wanted to be there for their families and their loved ones. I would argue that it's kind of less selfish if you choose option A and take all the money, because the layer of support, and I know money doesn't buy everything, but if you live to the age of 50, you have more than enough time to start a family, you have the ability to provide a level of support for your loved ones that is beyond their wildest dreams. I mean, $100 million is more than enough for one person to live off of. That's enough to make an entire family comfortable for the rest of their lives. Your kids will be able to go to whatever school they want to. They don't have to worry about working a day in their lives. They're going to have a lot of less stress and suffering. Now, I know, like I said, money doesn't buy everything, and just because you're ridiculously wealthy, that won't mean you live life stress-free. I get all that. But I'd be willing to take that chance if someone wants to give me $100 million to see if it makes my life less stressful. I'd really be willing to take that chance. So the people that chose option A, and some of the reasons I thought were very good. One person said, well, I would obviously choose option A for the $100 million because, you know, I'm relatively young. I would have about 30 years left to spend the money. And this was a very unique little thing that this person threw out there, is that they said, well, I would never have to work again. So therefore, that's almost, you know, 8 hours in any given day that I have to enjoy life in my prime years. Because when you get $1 million, you can't exactly say, oh, I'm never working again. I could just, you know, buy a house now and retire at the age of 15. Like, $1 million doesn't exactly last you a lifetime. I mean, you'd have to live a pretty frivolous life with not much, you know, of anything beyond a mediocre level of fancy. So with the $1 million, you would have to keep working. Like, I mean, it would be a nice little buffer for your life, but you'd probably have to keep working. Anyway, this person brought up the point of, like, you won't have to work, so therefore you could have a high quality of life till the age of 50 without having the interference of work. And I was like, you know what, that's a pretty good point. Whereas with the $1 million, you'd be able to have a higher quality of life, but you'd have to be devoting a lot of time to a job still, and that cuts in to the amount of time that you could quote unquote live it up. So I thought that was a very interesting point that that person brought up, and they used that to choose. And a lot of people said, like, you know, well, I drink and smoke. I'm probably not going to live much past the age of 50 anyway, so hell, you know, give me the $100 million. So there's a number of reasons why you could choose option A or why you could choose option B. Now, as for what I would choose, I would go with option B. Though I don't think it's as simple as an answer as a lot of people made it sound out to be, which, again, there's no right or wrong answer to these. I would choose option B because, number one, if I had to work for the rest of my life, that's fine. And that $1 million would be able to get whatever I wanted. I mean, the maximum things I want in life is a nice vacation, maybe a nicer house. I don't really want, like, you know, a gold-dipped Rolls Royce in the driveway or anything like that. I'd be able to live more than my dreams with an additional $1 million on top of the money I have and the job I have and anything like that. And yeah, I mean, again, I could see how some people could be like, well, it's still kind of selfish, like you said, because your family could be just set for life if you took $100 million and you'd be able to enjoy it up until that age of 50. And yeah, it would be a lot of good times. But again, money can't buy everything, but $1 million will help out and help out enough. So I'm going with option B there. All right, this third one. Now, this is one where a lot of you guys said this was the toughest one to pick from. And I agree. Now, I gave you the option of either being paralyzed from the neck down for 5 years and then have a full recovery after that time, or be in a coma for 5 years and then have a full recovery after that. Which one would you choose? So many people were just definite to one side or the other, and it was really a 50-50 split. That's one thing I noticed about this question is people are like, oh, I definitely take the coma. Oh, I definitely take being paralyzed. And it just shows you that's what these questions are supposed to do. They're supposed to make you, you know, find that rationale in your mind that points you to one side or the other. And a lot of the other people in the middle just were like, oh, this is so tough. I really don't know. I guess I would do this or that. Anyway, being paralyzed from the neck down, I just want to give a reality of both situations before I tell you what I picked. Being paralyzed from the neck down. This is something that is obviously just completely debilitating. No use of any of your limbs. All you'd be able to do is talk. Now, sure, you'd be able to see and hear, so you'd be able to keep up with world events, see what's happening, see your kids grow up, or just, you know, anything like that. And there's both good and bad to it. You would have to basically see your life become, in essence, near completely useless if you're not already a paralyzed person as it is. And I know, like, if I was in that position, just seeing people having just to take care of me, and I know I'm kind of more of a person of if I can't take care of myself, I would be severely depressed. Like, you just have no ability just to do anything that you would do on a daily basis with, 4 working limbs, your arms and legs, and count your penis as a limb, which I don't know anyway. It would be just such a tough life to live, even for 5 years. And I would ask myself, boy, how depressed would I get like that? And would that depression be able to be reversed if I had a full recovery after 5 years? So that's a legitimate concern. Now, to the point of the coma, and I asked these questions to Girlfiend, and she brought up a good point with the coma. She said, well, if you were in a coma, probably by, year 2, 3, or 4, I'd probably move on. And that's something you really have to consider. The loved ones in your life, you can't expect them to sit around and wait for you, like, thinking you're going to wake up just in 5 years' time. Nor should they have to. I would be, if I woke up from that coma and I found out, my girlfriend left me, she married someone else or whatever, and went on with her life, I would understand. I would absolutely understand. I'd be like, I wouldn't hold that against her. So you got to think of, what would you lose in life if you were in a coma? Would you honestly expect a loved one, like a girlfriend or a wife, to stay there and wait for you? Why should they put their entire life on hold, hoping that you're going to wake up out of this? Because again, like, once it gets to be year 2, 3, or 4, they're going to be like, I got to move on. So you would lose something like that potentially in your life. Now, what would I choose? Boy, again, this is why I said this is the toughest one. And I tried and looked at it from more of a pro side than a con side. Like, which side has more pros? It kind of goes down to that whole, the 2 scenarios I left of, depression from being paralyzed versus a potential loved one in your life leaving you, or just anyone in your life leaving you because they're just, writing you off as dead per se. I would be more understanding if a loved one left. It would suck to no end. But I would say if I was in their shoes, I would probably do the same thing. So therefore, I can't be mad at them. Like, if I woke up after my 5-year coma and I found out, Girlfiend left me and went on and married someone else, I'd be like, I can't, be mad at her for doing that. I can't hold her against her because I probably would have done the same thing in that circumstance. It doesn't exactly make a person selfish. It just makes them wanting to go live their lives. So, I would have to lean more towards being in the coma for 5 years. And as for the pros of it, it's basically a painless, timeless option. Like, timeless meaning you have no relevance of time if your mind is in a state of sleep, per se. So you would just basically wake up maybe 5 years later, and while I may lose, loved ones in my life that just write me off for dead, I think the world would be so much more interesting just with a gap of 5 years. Like, I even put in the comments, like, the notion of just sitting down and watching 5 Super Bowls back to back to back to back is, just like, from a fantasy standpoint, very intriguing. There's just like little things like that. And I would see that as the more interesting of the scenarios, as in comparison to being paralyzed and being just morbidly depressed for 5 years and then still having to deal with that depression once I had a full recovery. So I would choose option B, to be paralyzed. Now, 4th one, the total hypotheticals of hypotheticals. Have world peace, your hypothetical version of world peace, however that may be, or become the leader of the world. I think world peace is just it's such a scenario that I can barely wrap my mind around that. I'm just going to tell you right now, I would go with option B. I mean, option B, as the world leader, I think you could potentially make great strides to have world peace if there was a one world ruler. But again, it would probably most likely end up in anarchy, where a faction of people rebel against you and kill you. But you know, it would be a fun ride. I don't know. I guess it's partly my just viewing of so much of humanity as despicable that I just don't want to see them peaceful. Now, it doesn't mean like if I'm world ruler, I'm going to be like, all right, the following groups of people are dead. Boom, 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 boom. Go get them, my army, my Archfiend army. I know it sounds kind of cruel and potentially selfish to say that, but just like, there's so many people on this planet that I just don't care for. Like, if I want to be honest about it, and I'm not saying like, oh, I hate this entire race of people or anything like that. Just when I turn on the news and I just see the problems of the world, it doesn't matter what race or nationality are, I see just so many people just complaining about frivolous shit that means absolutely nothing. I mean, hell, I could be lumped in with that. I complain about enough frivolous shit here myself. But it's like people just don't truly value life. And just so many people just don't truly value life. So you know what? Fuck their peace. It's time for Emperor Archfiend to take over. Or as, oh, the hell is the title in Spartacus? Oh, I'm drawing a total blank. It's time for, oh God, Crassus was the blank. Fuck. I'm trying to think what Crassus's title was. God damn it. So much for a final point in this video. Anyway, fuck world peace. It's time for Dictator Archfiend. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm totally forgetting what the title of Marcus Crassus was in my favorite television show of all time, Spartacus. Anyway, it's still early here. Anyway, just woke up. So, that's my choices to the questions I gave to you. If I'm going to ask these questions, I'm sure as hell I'm going to answer them here for you guys. So, if anyone changed their answers over something I've discussed here, you know, feel free to leave in the comments. Also, if anyone has a scenario that you'd like to see me use in a future Archfiend's Choice video, feel free to just email to me. My email is theawesomearchfiend@yahoo.com, or you can try and squeeze them in a comment below if it's something that's short enough to fit in the comments. So, anyways, thank you again for taking part in this, and my mind can't go beyond whatever Marcus Crassus his title was in Spartacus, and it's totally like draining my brain power right now. My God, I can't believe I forgot what his title under the Roman Empire was. That's gonna piss me off to no end. Anyways, I'm gonna look it up and put it on the screen right now. Oh, that's what it was. Jesus. Anyways. Have a great day, everyone. And again, if you guys have any of these scenarios, please send them over my way if you want to see them in a future video. And again, this was, I thought, the best round of Archfiend's Choice that you guys ever took part in here. So anyways, thanks again for watching this really long explanation video for the choices that I made in Archfiend's Choice. Have a great day, guys. Imperador! Imperador! I remembered it before looking it up. Fuck you, Google, I don't need you. Imperador Crassus, I should have never forgot it. Damn it, shit, fuck, even though I just put it on the screen a minute ago. But, again, that was after the fact. Imperator Archfiend is taking over the world, but his memory sucks. Have a great day, everyone.